Hello everyone, another live stream here. Probably going to be a little shorter tonight because I have just a few things written down. I wore myself out. I wore myself out shoveling, out of all things. Shoveling, but let me give a quick look, as I always do. See who is here. Wow, the first commenter, Paradox, Mr. Boss, hello, how are you? And our moderator, DIY Solar Energy. I hope you guys can hear me. I turned the mic down just a little bit. So I was getting a little bit of feedback on that last one. I hope that sounds better anyway. Sonia, good day to you. Hello to Drinks YT. Hey, Ethan, Win. All the usuals. I see a lot of people in here. Guppy Cam. Hello to everyone, as always. I go through, look at these afterwards. Ant Man fan. Excuse me. Hey, David Montreal. Buddy there. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of my French studies here lately. So, what I want to talk about tonight are a few things. I have a short list, and you may not have seen. You guys are the early comers, so you may not have seen the thumbnail that tells you what my list is tonight. But I want to start out with something. Unzip the pocket here. Everyone can hear you fine. Great. Thank you, Sandriel. How are you? Patron there, along with Sonia and Harry Grimley. 10 Man Amps, hello to you. All right, let's see. So, I just got sidetracked there. So, e-bikes and watts. I want to talk about that for a second because, as you notice, I got an e-bike beside me. What side is it? I always get this backwards. My lovely, beloved Lectric. I want to say electric, but Lectric XP. That's just not coming out tonight at all. But the Lectric XP, probably the best value per performance. Wow. Totally can't even speak. Can't even speak. But the best value per performance, I mean, it's really hard to beat. The Lectric XP, if you're into the fat tires and the folding, because, every bike is not for everyone, but it's very popular. So I assume a lot of people like it as much as I do. But one of the things that I've been getting a lot when I do e-bike videos, which is a growing part of biking. We all know that. I talk about it all the time. Definitely the future. Growing and coming on strong. And thank you, Harry Grimley, about my shirt. This is my Kev Reviews shirt. I actually like this design. Almost my favorite logo design. I really like it on. It's even got a little logo thing on the back there. So, but on e-bikes, one thing that people talk about all the time when I feature an e-bike in a video is, hey, what is going on with the gearing? Why is there only 6 speeds, or why are there only 7 speeds? And 7 is the common. And I see people talk about upgrade, and they talk about, well, I want to put a 10 speed or a 12 speed on this e-bike. And I'm a little confused. I'm wondering if those people don't understand how the e-bike works. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just asking what the thought process is with wanting more gearing on an e-bike, because the whole concept behind an e-bike, now an e-mountain bike, I can definitely understand. Definitely understand, especially if it's a torque assist e-mountain bike. You're going to be working a little bit anyway there. So the more gears, the better, and help you climb and ranges and stuff. But for an e-bike around town, why do you really need more? Because you're using the pedal assist. So I don't quite understand. So if you are in that line of thinking that you need more gears, if you want high-end shifters, I see that mentioned a lot. People want high-end shifters, and I'm just curious because you don't shift all that much. At least I don't. I could be unique in how I ride an e-bike, but I'm curious. So comment, because I want to know what you think. Like Arizona mountain bike beast. If I get an e-bike, I won't even want to pedal. Exactly. That's the beauty of the e-bike. You don't have to if you don't. Well, if you have a throttle, like on the Lectric XP. If you have a throttle, then you do have that luxury, but not all e-bikes are throttle only. But even not all e-bikes have a throttle. But even if you don't have a throttle, they're still easy to get going. I regularly never shift unless it's on hills. And an e-bike that doesn't have a throttle, I'll leave it in the top gear and just give it a little bit of effort to get it going at the start, and then let it pick up and just take me take me where it wants to. That's the joy of e-bikes. So, I talked about the gearing there and the 10 and the 12 speed. So I'm going to look really quick at the chat because I'm curious. Let's see. Luke says, "Hi Kev, there's a bike on sale at Walmart called the Kent." Well, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Bow 700C, $249 gravel bike. I'll take a peek at that. I'll take a peek at that. But I want to see if there's anybody that says anything about gearing. So Ben Chang, when in doubt, throttle only. That's true. When in doubt, throttle only, most definitely. And you should do a review of the Kent. I'll take a look at that. I will, but it's, Kent does a lot of similar bikes based on their road bike frame. So I'm curious, just right off the top, if that is based on the frame that I probably suspect. So we'll see. But Kev, do you test ride full suspension seat post versus full suspension bikes? No, that's not really a comparative thing. Fred Maldonado 920, that's not really a comparative thing. Those suspension seat posts are designed just to kind of smooth you out a little bit. They don't have a lot of travel. A full suspension mountain bike, there's a lot of pivoting and action going on throughout the entire rear half of the bike. So that's kind of a different setup. So it's not really something I would be interested in comparing. McKean, hey, does the link to the Amazon still work, or is it just me? Are you talking about the link on my website? That should work. If you click store and click shop or whatever it is, shop and then store to get to my Amazon, it should still work. It worked earlier. I was on there. As a matter of fact, I meant to load up because I'm going to talk about tools in just a minute. And I meant to go through and load up a few tools on there. And I will do that as soon as I get finished. But I'm just going to pass on. Okay, here we go. Somebody's talking about gears here. Modern cars have only 4 gears and stay in high gear most of the time. Exactly. That's just, I think, the way e-biking is kind of a similar way. So anyway, I'm going to skip past that. I'm going to skip past all these messages. Of course, I always go back and look at your messages because I want to get to another. So my first topic was one of a little controversy because some want more gears in an e-bike, and I just said, I don't think that's necessary unless it's an e-mountain bike. The second thing, I posted that video. What video was it? It was 2 videos ago, I think, where I talked about the DJI Osmo, the Osmo Action. And I rapidly discovered that apparently action cameras, GoPro versus Osmo, I had no idea that action cameras had kind of that Apple fanboy versus Android fan kind of thing going on. But I quickly realized that because I noticed in comments that there were people that just would not accept that I didn't like the footage out of the Osmo Action. And also quite a few comments, and some that had to be deleted. They got a little rude. But quite a few comments that were saying that I had somehow rigged this Osmo to not work well, that it was my fault. So what I did was I went out today, early today. Actually, I went out and I've done this 2 days in a row, but I went and got a couple more clips today because I'm going to try and I'm going to see if this works out because I want to get you guys' opinions, honest opinions, because this is my live stream crew. So, and not many of us tonight. So this is the core of the core of the core. So I want the live stream crew, the XR pros, I want you guys to give your opinion on some of this footage because there are a few things that I wrote down here that I want to go over about these action cams. First, I mentioned the fanboy status. It seems like you are either team GoPro or you're team Osmo Action or other camera. And I totally get that. I totally get that the GoPro can be frustrating because I have used GoPros. I should have brought them down here. I have a pile of them. I've used GoPros since the Hero 4, the Hero Session, and then they started calling it the Hero Session 4, and then the Hero Session 5. I've used GoPro. I don't think I had a GoPro Hero 5. I know I had the Hero 4, or vice versa, and then the 6, the 7, this is an 8, I haven't purchased the 9. I got this because I was very frustrated with what I saw about the 9, about the lockups, because that happens if you use a GoPro, you know, they lock up. Things happen. So I get that. But there's the mention of color correcting. I had this in the footage that I uploaded. I had this Osmo Action in desyn-like mode, desyn-like mode, however you pronounce it. And people were saying, well, that's the flat mode. That's so you do color correcting in post. But I went back today, and let me just show you a little clip of this. And I hope I have the audio muted on this. And I hope this is even going to work. We'll see how well this works. Because this is with normal mode on the Osmo Action on the trail, and this is with Rock Steady enabled. And people keep talking about how much better Rock Steady is as far as a stabilizer goes, but what I want you to focus here is not so much the bumps, because you get that even in GoPro, but you see how it's moving back and forth as I pedal? It's kind of moving back and forth there. Well, let me go to this. I have this same rig. These cameras are side by side, so what you're seeing is the same view, but this is the Hero 8 on that same ride, and it doesn't have that wobble back and forth. It stays center on the track. And also, you'll see when I go over the bumps, there's a little bit of bumpiness, but it's nowhere near what this Osmo does. Let's see if I can switch back to the Osmo here. Yeah, here's the Osmo. You can see there's more jerking and rattling than there is with the Hero. Oh, excuse me, I didn't switch that. More jerking and rattling than with the Hero. It just, I don't get. Yeah, here we go. Start this over. It seems like when I go back and forth. But look at this. You can see there's more jitteriness with the video, and also that side to side. I mean, are you guys seeing that? That side to side? And also the color palette, even though it's in normal mode in both of these, or in normal mode. It's not like I did any heavy editing with the GoPro or anything. But I mean, look at that. That is the Osmo, and that is significantly more bumpiness and roughness in the footage. Now, it's still usable. It's still usable, but it is nowhere near what this Hero is. Just go back to this really quick. If I can click on that, because I can't jump forward in this for some reason. I can't scrub in it, but you guys see this, right? The Hero looks smoother. I'm not the only one. This looks like smoother footage, and the color's a little better. You can even see a little bit of the blue from the sky creeping in through the trees, which you can't see with the Osmo. So I'm not the only one, and I see someone here, well, the 6.9 2K7, Hero 7's best bang for your buck. Actually, I think the Hero 8 right now is the best bang for your buck, because the stabilization is a lot better with the Hero 8, which is what we're watching right now. So you see, this is a lot smoother. I mean, a lot smoother than that Osmo. So it's not perfect. It's not perfect. I usually wear a gimbal, but I've broken all my gimbals. So that's why I was trying. I even bought, because I've been running a Hero 7. Leo talked about the Hero 7. I've been running a Hero 7 for 2 years. This is my main camera. And this is the Hero 8. So a little bit better, smoothing the hyper smooth. Even as hyper smooth the boost. Of course, it's a larger camera. But it's smoother than the Rock Steady. And people get mad about that. When you say that the Osmo isn't as smooth as the Hero, and I'm not trying to get on anybody's bandwagon status, because I'll mention this at the very end, but I want to like this Osmo. I really do, because I have so many complaints about GoPro. DIY Solar Energy hears me constantly complain every time I come off the trail. If I filmed anything, there are complaints about the GoPro, and I'll get into that. But so we saw the roughness, and DIY Solar Energy even thinks, and he is an avid Osmo fan. He's the one that pretty much convinced me to try out the Osmo. So even he admits that it looks better. And again, I didn't do anything to these footage. They were exactly on this gimbal, or not this gimbal, this chest rig, just like this. They were mounted just like this, and this was filmed this morning. I'm shadowing myself here. This was filmed this morning, just like this, with them side by side. And nothing fancy, no extra settings on one versus the other. They were all pretty much, yeah, everyone I'm seeing here. Everyone seems to be. Oh, wait, someone, Ben Chang. I think the Osmo would work well as a stationary camera. Yes, I didn't bring that footage, but I'll talk about that in just a second. I think it has some possibilities to be used, but I want to talk about whether it's a good camera given the price of the Hero 8, because you can get a refurb Hero 8 for, I think it's 300 bucks, something like that, 289 ish, somewhere around there. So stabilization on the 8 is better than with the 7. Yes, the 8 is better than the 7, and the 9 even better than the 8. So that's one thing that GoPro does well, is they've been really stepping up their stabilization. And they're doing a pretty good job. It's still not to the point, and I've talked about this, and here I'm dabbling into more I don't like to do this. I don't like to get into these topics that cause people to try to call out other footage and things like that. But whenever there's a new GoPro release, and I know you guys, so if you're mountain bikers, you know, if you want to film anything, want an action cam, you'll watch when a new camera is released and you'll see all these people doing this crazy stuff. I mean, people mountain biking off cliffs, hundreds of feet, over exaggeration, but you know, mountain biking off cliffs, doing crazy things, flips, all kinds of crazy stuff. Not really flips, but crazy stuff. And it's super smooth. I mean, it is just like that camera. There's a professional company hitching a ride along with that person on the mountain bike because they're taking all these jumps and it's all so super smooth. And then they're always saying, oh, well, this is the default settings on the camera, the default stabilization, nothing else. And I call not true on that, because I have had every GoPro up to, I haven't had the 9, but I've had all those other GoPros. And every time I see all these videos, and supposedly people just have a chest rig or they have it on their helmet. And I think the head does act as a stabilizer to some degree. When you're taking jumps, your head's going to move. It's just the way the human body works. So all those little videos that show this super smooth cinematic like flowy action, there is either some editing in post using software, or there are stabilizers involved, because in my opinion there's no way you can get that. So even on the Heroes, there's no way you can get that super smooth, but the Hero 8 does do, of all the cameras I've had, the best job so far, and it's getting a lot better, a lot better. I remember the Hero 6, I got so mad. That was one of the ones supposed to be so smooth, and I got it. I couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand it. And I still have that camera, and I try to use it every now and then, but it locks up so much. But the color correcting in post, I mentioned that earlier. Osmo versus GoPro. The color correcting in post, is that really something that most people are going to want to do? To me, I prefer, even though I have a YouTube channel where I make YouTube videos, I still want my action cam footage be something I film, take out the SD card, I upload the footage, throw it into what I'm wanting to show, and there it is. I don't do color correcting. I don't do any smoothing. I use the footage as it is, which is again why I usually use a gimbal. But I'm trying it without, and it's not going to work. And I have to get another gimbal. Actually, I already have it, but so people talk about color correcting on this Osmo. They said, because if you look, go back to this footage again. Actually, I'll go to some other footage because I want to show you this. This is on a paved trail. So a paved trail, and you'll see it's a little smoother, but that Osmo's still hunting back and forth when I pedal. And it's on the same rig as the Hero, and I have the Hero footage as well. But I'm going to let this play out and just kind of look at those colors and look up at the sky. And you don't really see any blue. And the colors are kind of almost, there's this green tint to it. Just this bizarre green tint that is always there on the Osmo. And people talk about filters, and I'll get to that in a second. But I want to let this ride out and just look at the stabilization. It does a pretty good job here. This is what I would consider to be usable footage. If I were putting together a video and I had this footage, I would use this because it's so smooth, it does look usable. But as this goes forward, really wish there was a way I could scrub this and skip forward. I want you to look and see if you can see the sky through all these trees, because it's kind of washed out. And I'm going to drive down here in just a minute, down by a creek. And when I get in more light, you'll see what some of the people talk about with the Osmo Action. That it does look truer, like truer color, true life color under certain conditions. And I will say that when you get in bright sunlight, it does. That looks exactly like what this looked like to me this morning when I filmed it. So that part is very accurate, but there's something about that color saturation that I'll get to in a second. Vibrancy versus, sorry, what? So that's DIY. I don't know. I always look at DIY Solar Energies. But hey, Doug's eBike, how are you? But look at this. This is, pretty good. That's pretty good. You can see the sky there. But the flat color palette, people say that you can get the Osmo Action and you can edit in post. And I don't do that. And I don't think most people are going to spend the time to do that when you could get a GoPro and the colors are good enough, vivid enough that you don't have to edit in post. And now here is something I want to talk about or show. A lot of people mentioned with the GoPro that it was too vibrant. Look at that sky there. See how blue that sky is? And then watch, when this gets into the shadows, the blueness kind of goes away just a little bit. It'll get toned down here. See that? Kind of goes away. And this morning, the sky was much bluer than what it's showing there. But as soon as I come out of these clouds, as soon as I come out of these trees, watch what that blue sky does. See it get vivid blue? That is basically GoPro vivid there. That is bright greens, a deep blue sky. That is not real life coloring there. It looks pretty cool, but it's not real life coloring. The reason I was showing you that, and I apologize for that taking so long, but the reason I was showing you that, and by paradox, the reason I was showing you that is that people talked about vivid color with the GoPro being fake color, and that the neutrals were actually more true color, therefore more desirable. I disagree. I have a YouTube channel. I know that people like those bright, nice colors. When I watch content, I don't look for bland, natural looking color. You see someone skiing in something, that beautiful blue sky up there, that bright blue, that you're like, oh, that is really beautiful. That's a vivid, kind of upscale look at the color, very saturated color that's done on a lot of shots. I mean, every Hollywood movie, they don't ever show exactly, well, I don't say ever because there are some movies that have, but all the popular stuff is vivid because our eyes are naturally drawn to bright, vivid colors. So you get that, right? You get bright, vivid colors. We've already looked at the stabilization. So I just want to mention this. I'm not going to go forever on this. But I want to mention, whether you like the DJI Osmo, which is a good looking little camera. I mean, I like the format. I like getting to the SD card better than I like it on the Hero. I like that the buttons. I love the sounds. Turning it off and on. Having a different sound or when it turns off and on versus when it starts recording. Oh, I don't have an SD card in there. But I love the different sounds because a big complaint with the GoPro, use one long enough, there's the beep beep when it starts and the beep 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 when it stops. But it doesn't always do what it's supposed to do. As a matter of fact, in the 2 days that I was getting footage to see what I was going to use for this, I would cut these on at the same time. I would turn this one on and turn this one on, and then ride for a little bit, turn them off, and then turn them on, always at the same time, on and off. I ended up yesterday with 7 clips with the GoPro and 8 clips with the Osmo. And they beeped every time I pressed. I would hear the beeps that I was listening for to tell me they were turning off and turning on. But for some reason, and this happens with GoPros, it just didn't do it. It did. It made all the sounds, but it never wrote the video file. So that's kind of a thing. But I get that people want an Osmo and don't like GoPro. But when you start making arguments that to dispel the weaknesses, because to me, it's just not as good. It's not as good. And we talked about this as a refurb, $289, $199. But to get vivid colors in the shadows or under a trail where you don't have bright sunlight, well, don't worry. You can get a set of filters to put on your Osmo Action, because this screws off and you can just screw on filters, which is cool because there are all kinds of different filters, UV filters and polarizing filters and all this ND stuff for different levels of brightness. But that's $50. So there is $250 for this camera. And if you want external, well, I can't even really count the external microphone stuff because you have to pay extra for the external microphone on the GoPro as well. But the GoPro mic does sound a little better. It's a little louder, a little richer. Now, I did notice this is better with wind for some reason, at least for me. Better with wind, but also that green tint, a lot of people said, hey, it's your Osmo, you got a defective one. And I will fairly say that when I'm charging this one, the charge light never turns out. I charge it for hours and hours and hours. And the only way I can tell it's full is I unplug it and I look and it says that it's at 100%. So just to make sure that this one is, I have it right here. Just to make sure that this one isn't overly buggy, I purchased a second Osmo. And I've got this, it came in today, it's still sealed up. I'm gonna open this up and give it a go because I really want to like the Osmo. If I could use something other than the GoPro, I would. I really would. So just a long way of saying that this isn't as good, at least to me. At least based on my experience, it isn't as good. And we tested mine versus his. Oh, he's talking. I don't always look directly at his messages. And Lisa Taylor does not like the GoPro. Maybe you've had the same experience that I had with files and the lockups. If you run a GoPro, you know, you get that point where it just won't turn off. You're recording a video. I was on Wheeler. Me and a buddy were riding out at Wheeler. And I had ridden, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles in one clip with the GoPro. And I went to turn it off. And you know the thing where you hit the button? Just doesn't turn off. It's still recording. And nothing you can do makes it turn off. So you have to take the battery out. And that means you lose all that footage. Happens regularly. Almost every ride, I lose at least one clip. Well, I'll say almost every ride. Regularly, I lose at least one clip with the GoPro. Haven't lost any so far with the Osmo Action. Well, pointing at it's over here. Haven't lost any so far with the Osmo Action. So it does have things like that going for it. So there we go. Osmo Action. Now let me check chat. And as I mentioned, this is kind of a scattered little live stream. Not normal by normal live stream standards, because I am tired. But I do want to look at chat here and see what we have to say. Oh, people are talking about gas. People are talking about gas. You know, we have that, and especially if you're in Alabama, we have gas pumps with bags over them. The whole works. Kind of crazy, right? All that works. Love how vivid the last frame of the GoPro looks right after it locks up and I lose all the footage. Yes, regular guy mountain biking. Exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly what I'm talking about there. Just look at this. See, just that I can hear you typing there. DIY solar energy. See, Mom, make sure your phone's muted. Sorry. And let's see. Wow, a lot of talk about gas. Maybe we should have done a topic about gas tonight, right? Does have a new electric bike yet? Someone talking about their bike, and Lisa likes photography, so that's why she knows a lot about it. Sonia sees all the super chats are going to good use. She's talking about with the extra cameras, buying a backup camera just to see if it worked. A little super chat money, actually, absolutely. And can you please just chill so somebody's saying something? What we got going on here? Lack of gas. Wow, I mean, I really should have made the gas a topic tonight. Lots of pipeline stuff. But it's getting over with, that pipeline stuff. They said they will have it back up to full capacity within the next few days. Oh, and speaking of Super Chat, we just mentioned Super Chat. Aaron behind bars It's just what, Aaron, you probably paid for one of the ND filters for this Osmo. You pay for that, so thank you. Let me see what you have to say here. Think we'll see big box bikes with truly modern geo, like 65-degree head tubes, 120mm forks. I don't think they can make a frame fork that handles stress for the dollar. I don't know. I don't know. We wouldn't have thought a year ago, well, 2 years ago, would not have thought that we would see a 67 point, what is it? 67.8 or 67.5 that the Axum has. Wouldn't have guessed that 2 years ago because we were struggling to get something that wasn't 70 or 71 degree head tube angles just a couple of years ago, two and a half years ago. So who knows what we'll see in the future. I know if anything comes to fruition, some of the ideas that I've heard, then it may get a lot cooler than we currently even used to now. It's getting better. So the sky's the limit. I guess I'll end there on it without knowing any firm stuff behind the scenes. Just saw a little ring, the little Windows ring, like it was lagging. So I hope it doesn't lag here. Can't believe everyone's talking about gas about a literal bike channel. Oh my gosh, Ben Chang. I didn't even think about the irony there, but you are absolutely right. We're talking about gas on a bike channel and with an e-bike sitting right here. And it's so funny because with the talk of gas, people started freaking out locally. Gas, I mean, flooding the stations. And I told my neighbor, I was like, well, I have e-bikes. I don't have to worry. I can get anywhere I need to go. Anywhere I need to go in town because this Lectric, if I were to put this on the lowest pedal assist, I could ride easily anywhere in my town. Well, I live in an area called the Quad Cities, and I could make it to the other side of the Quad Cities. I mean, all the way from the end of one city to the other. Kept it on low pedal assist, even maybe two pedal assist two, easily make it completely to the other side, possibly a good chunk of the way back. So there's that. Another super chat. Regular guy mountain bike. Well, thank you. All the best to you, my friend. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And by the way, I've been talking about doing where I press the button for the bell ring to celebrate super chats. I figured out why I couldn't get it to work. I spent all this time doing a good audio clip and editing it down with a bell ring. And I found out that my Mac, it uses the AAC files, so Windows can't see it. So, Windows can see it, but Streamlabs, my Streamlabs software can't see it. So, gonna have to edit that, but I will. We're talking about Lectric. I'll just give you an Aaron behind bars. Little bell rings there, so I appreciate it. I really do. All these super chats, they help the channel greatly. Definitely. Oh, I'm sorry, but we're getting up people asking him to open the bike box. Maybe he will. What are we talking about?
Yeah, I'm getting a few people saying that they want to see you open up that Lectric bike inspector.
Oh, yeah, that's one by my Walmart. So, wait, you're talking about this Lectric or this one that's...
The one that's in the box.
Do you mean the folded up one? Or are you talking...
Yeah, the one in the box. You keep saying open it up, the Lectric.
Oh, that box. Oh, that old box. Yeah, that is actually the latest Lectric XP, the version 2.0. They've got 1.0. What's this? And well, technically that's a prototype, so that's probably 0.01 or 0.2. But they have 1.0, and then they have the Lectric step through. Well, now the Lectric XP is evolving and about to come out. But yeah, that's what that is. And that box right there is this box is the new Lectric XP. And yeah, I can't wait to open that up. I really can't. I'm really anxious to see what has become of that because, as I mentioned, well, I was going to talk about the Lectric XP, this one versus the other. So, and I admit, I did stick that box back there as a teaser a little bit, see if anybody would notice it. But I'll talk about that in just a second. Before I do, though, let me catch back up on chat here. more super. Been Chang trying to solicit for super chats. I appreciate that. But and here's talking about electric cars. Wow, I really feel like I came poorly equipped tonight with bike stuff. To the gas and the electric car talk and all this. So I'm 5 miles away from your local trails, Harry Grimley. Okay, talking to Harry Grimley. Harry Grimley, excuse me. I'm messing up everything. I can't even speak tonight. This is how tired I am. I'm not kidding. I had a tree root 4 feet, 48 inches, actually 48 and a quarter inches around. I had this tree cut down. That's how big around it was. And then they ground this tree stump, and it was this mound of sawdust. And then it rained on the sawdust. I underestimated exactly how heavy wet sawdust is when I was shoveling. And it took about, Dad brought his riding mower over and had a trailer on the back of it. It took 6 or 7 trailers full to move all that sawdust. It beat me down pretty bad. Beat me down, and plus I'd ridden the trails this morning and trying to get all this footage, so I was a little tired. A little tired. So even DIY solar, yeah. Have you ever restored old bicycles? No, no, I'm not a bike restorer. I appreciate the question, Lisa Taylor, but no, not a huge bike restorer. I There's parts for old bikes I don't have access to, so nah. Checked out the 9 by electric go kart. Wow, I mean this is totally turning in. People that make e-bikes and electric items, like Lectric themselves, they make skateboards, or not them, but a sister company of that. I think they make electric skateboards. So lots of battery talk. Peer pressuring them into the following our commands. Classy. So are more people talking about the XP in the box here?
Yeah, there's been a couple more individuals saying, what the heck, why wait, for video when you can do it live? So,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Let me just talk. Let's just talk about electric. Let's talk about electric. Let me hop up off the stool here from my bench. Let me get this over. Ooh, it's amazing how much lighter this is without the battery. Without the battery, but this is. I hope you guys can hear me because I'm not dead straight on. But this is one of the prototype Lectric XPs. This was the standard XP, but being a prototype, there's a couple of differences on this one. It's a bit shorter. It's just a hair shorter than the production models. And the production models have a larger battery because this is a little shorter. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty much the production model of the XP. And of all the e-bikes that I have, it's hard to call something your favorite when you like so many of the bikes. People always, what's your favorite bike? And it's so hard to tell because it's kind of like whatever I'm riding is my favorite bike. But I really do like this bike. I fell in love with it the first time I rode it. Little fat tires, even made the joke in the video. I wanted to pinch these little fat tires. They're just so cute on this bike. And it rides so well. This is a great riding bike, considering it's a folding bike. Back it up here. Considering it's a folding bike, it rides amazingly well and rides smooth. I never had, you look at this folding handlebar design and you just wonder how sturdy that's going to be. I've never had any problems, and I've taken this. This one doesn't have the folding stand. So I actually took this onto some light trails just to see if it would do it, and it didn't. I never had any fear of the handlebars breaking or anything like that. I mean, this is a really good bike. My only complaint was the grips. I got trigger finger from, I guess, doing death grip because I was going 30 miles an hour on this thing. 28 when I first got it, and then unlocked it to, I think, well, no, it was 25 when I first got it, unlocked it to 28. And I see another super chat here. $4.99. I hope $5 can persuade you to talk about cycling commuting. Well, technically, this can also be a commuter bike, so we can talk about that. Who was it? Oh, there we go. Carlos Rios. I appreciate the super chat, by the way. So bike bell ring for you. But these technically can be great commuter bikes because they fold up. If you worked in a city where you didn't want to leave it outside, you can technically fold this up and stick it in the corner of an office. And with the seat all the way down and the bars folded, they take up less room than you would think. Show you. This is a completely folded Lectric XP. And that's not very big. That's not very big. That's a small bike considering what it starts as. Back this up just a little bit. And it starts as a full-size bike and it ends up folded quite well. And that is a wonderful part of the XP Plus. You've got that step-through frame or the high-rise frame. Now there is a little irony with the step-through frame. I found it funny that it's easier to step over, but the handle to pick it up is actually down further. Thought that was pretty funny. But other than that, I know it sounds like I'm sales pitching and I don't make a cent off anyone buying anything from Lectric. I just like their bikes. I fell in love right away with this one and I've had so much fun on it. Trouble-free fun. Matter of fact, the only issue that I've had other than that grip, which I changed out, I got some nice foam grips on it now. The only issue that I've had, the brakes get a little noisy. And they get a little noisy because I'm constantly riding through mud puddles and stuff like that. I ride over anything I see. Those little fat tires, I just want to try everything on them. And when I ride over stuff, it splashes up and I don't clean the brakes as often as I should. So the brakes get a little noisy on this bike compared to some of my other bikes. But I'm going to start cleaning. That's my commitment. That's my vow. I'm going to start cleaning them more often so that they're not so noisy. But Lectric XP, I know a lot of you guys are Lectric XP fans. As a matter of fact, that KevCentral coupon code that got panniers, which I have, yeah, that got the panniers on the original Lectric XP, which turned out to be pretty cool panniers. These are really nice and fit. I've got a block on there, but they're really nice and fit on the bike and latch on. But they told me at one point how many uses that coupon code had, and I've seen how many views the original video had, and then the follow-up videos. A lot of attention with Lectric, and I think rightfully so, because it seemed like they're a pretty upstanding company, which kind of gets to the reason that I have, this is backwards, so it flips me out every time. Kind of the reason I have this box back here. This isn't supposed to be shown until next week, anything about this bike. But Lectric, I started this morning when I woke up, actually I started yesterday. I started getting messages from people, I started getting messages from people asking, can you talk about the, okay, Chad Yamarsetti, I already talked about the GoPro versus the Osmo. I'll come back to that and just give a real quick summary on that in just a minute. But let me tell you about Lectric. These guys have this new version coming out, this 2.0 coming out, and it wasn't any talk about it. It's kind of the, don't talk about it until this date kind of thing, even though I got the box yesterday or day before yesterday. I received it and I haven't even opened it yet. But I started getting comments from people, hey, what about that new Lectric XP? Well, that's interesting because no one's supposed to know about that bike. And I got a couple of messages that were very specific about some features of the bike. And I wondered, well, how did they know that? Because people were mentioning things I don't even know. I haven't even unboxed it. And they're mentioning things that I don't even know. So I contacted Lectric. They were so nice, and a lot of companies wouldn't do this. That's another reason, I'm not making a dime off all this, but I sound like I'm an advocate of them, and I kind of am in a way, because a lot of companies, if you had it, I know this for a fact, because I've had companies release bikes, or have a bike coming out, and then want me to show a video on an older bike so they can clear that out before they release a new one. Lectric has this new version coming out. They had a bunch of pre-orders for the old version, or well, let's call it the old version. They call this now the 1.0, and the new one the 2.0. They had some orders for the 1.0, quite a few, a lot of orders. Rather than fulfill those orders, and then people, kind of the Apple syndrome where you buy the new phone and then a week later they release something new, or you buy a new computer and a week later the new product comes out. They gave those people, all those people that had pre-ordered, I mean, it was quite a few. All those people, they sent an email, showed them the new bike, and offered to upgrade them to the 2.0, and however that worked out, rather than just send them the 1.0, which, I mean, think about that. For a company, there's inventory, there's 1.0 inventory and stuff. They still want to satisfy the customer, and that means a lot to me, because one of the focuses here at KevCentral is making sure that I provide accurate information. I don't I don't want to get ripped off when I buy something. So I want to give people all the information that I have and all the stuff I look at. I'm pretty good about having a keen eye as far as budget versus performance versus, I mean, I know a pretty good bit about bikes. So I know what would work better, what would work worse, and where trade-offs can be without being a distraction or a detraction from a bike. And I'm really respectful of a company that takes care of their customers. So when I heard that, because I messaged them, hey, why am I getting messages about this bike? How are people knowing about this? And as a reviewer, I'm like, well, come on, how are people already seeing it and I can't show it? So that was how, because they had sent an email to the people that had pre-ordered, and I guess gave them a teaser or something of the bike. I don't know what if it was like a full video walk around or whatever. I haven't seen it, but yeah, that's the bike. So, and it's in that box. And you're my biggest fan, and you've watched you. No hate. Okay, I appreciate that, Chad. So, I sound a lot older than I truly am. I do. I sound old. I've been told that I sound like the Jack in the Box guy. I'd like to have that gig. I've told that I sound like Tom Bodette. Well, coincidentally, not ironic, but coincidentally, I was in a Motel 6 in Orlando, Florida, and I had my laptop open. I was reading comments, and someone said, I wish you would say I'll leave the light on for you. And I thought, well, how funny that I'm in a Motel 6 right now and somebody's asking about that. So that I get those comparisons, but I didn't know it sounded super old. Actually, I've heard that many times, but I don't know, I don't feel like I sound super old. There's a YouTube channel that built Lectric XP for shore fishing on the North Carolina coast, complete with rod and there are a lot of people. I've seen a lot of things done with these Lectric XPs, a lot of cool paint jobs, a lot of neat stuff. The only thing that I did was I changed the rear freewheel. I went down to an 11 tooth freewheel to, cadence sensor bikes, you can kind of run out of pedal, especially if they do fast, if they go really fast. You get bikes that do 20 miles per hour and under, you don't really run into it, but you get to these 28 mile per hour bikes and you can kind of run out of pedal. I went with an 11 tooth, an 11 to 28 tooth rather than the 14 to 28 tooth in the rear. So I did that modification. I added the grips, and I don't have it on there right now, but I have a cup holder, a little cup holder that mounts the stem. That was my only mods, but I've seen some crazy stuff done with these. And also want to mention that this is a prototype. They actually increased the tooth count on the chainring on the front. So that helps with the cadence thing as well. And I have one of those chainrings. I just never put it on. I need to, because that would be an interesting combo with that 11 tooth and the 56 tooth, I think it is. 52, and then they went to 56, I think. Don't hold me to that, but they've done some pretty neat stuff, so I'm really curious how good of a job they've done with this. Chad has an Osmo action camera for 2 months with no problems. Amazing quality compared to the glitchy GoPro Hero 9. Yes, the GoPro Hero 9 I have not bought because of the glitches, because I already have enough. I already have enough glitches. with all my GoPros, even this Hero 8, which is fairly new to me. And in the last couple of days, I already mentioned had a couple of glitches with it, but I don't like the stabilization or the color palette as much on the Osmo. Get down here and look at some of these comments. Uh-oh, wait a minute. I see thiocarbazide benzoyl alcohol is here. I haven't seen your comment, Thio, but if it doesn't involve Alibaba, I'll be shocked. And I don't say that with any anger or anything. It's just funny to me that I expect Alibaba. Let's see. We allowed to actually talk about bike deals other than Amazon and Walmart. Okay, here we go. That's got to be an Alibaba bike, right? Now go ahead and admit you can say it. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna criticize because Thio, we don't always agree. I've seen some of his comments. We don't always agree. We do sometimes, but I do respect loyalty. And Thio has been here since way early. I remember you commenting when I first got the Mongoose XR Pro. That's how far back I can remember you commenting, and you may have commented even before that. But I do absolutely remember that. So yeah, I mean, I appreciate you being around. I really do. Even though you always mention Alibaba, but keep on, man. Keep on, because you every now and then I've looked at some of the frames you've mentioned. They look kind of enticing, a couple of them. So who knows? Somebody just got a Hero 4, excited to use it. Well, congratulations on your camera. Any action camera is better than none. And I talked earlier about there's fanboy status with action cameras. I learned that. I guess I should have learned that. I've forgotten it. I did a video, one of the few videos I said, terrible product, was the Vivitar, a little Vivitar cheap action camera from Walmart. And so many people have commented over the years on that. Oh, you don't know anything. It's the best camera in the world. That should have been a clue that action cameras are like phones and computers. We really lock in on them. So let me just give another quick peek here. I'm going to my first trail this week. A budget helmet you recommend and gloves. Hey, is it Makeen? If you are going to a trail, any helmet and any gloves are better than none. That's what I'll tell you. The biggest thing with the helmet is make sure it fits. There's MIPS and there's that new whatever. There's all kinds of different safety new things on a helmet, but as long as a helmet fits, they're pretty protective on a bike. They do a really good job. So yeah, just make sure that they fit. And I see Thio is mentioning Bikes Direct. I kind of honestly thought that at some point Bikes Direct would contact me because it seems like a nice fit. KevCentral with their do kind of budgety direct to consumer bikes. So yeah, I'd love to look at some of their bikes, but the ones I look at that I want, $1,200 ish, 1,000, $1,200, and I can justify spending a few $100 here and a few $100 there for bikes to test out for the channel. Hey, Josh Lobby, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it, and welcome to this live stream. I appreciate you being here. But Thio, spending $1,200 at a pop for reviews is it gets a little out of my economics class, so to speak. So yeah, but maybe we'll see. I watched all your videos and finally saved up and bought an Alpine Blue Trek Marlin 6. Congratulations, Chad. Those Marlin 6s. Decent little bikes. Decent bike. Plus, you get dealership support. And Sonia also agrees. Any helmet is better than no helmet. NM, talking about the switchback. I've seen quite a few people mention the switchback. I looked at that. That's kind of, to me, just looking at it, 2019 era-ish Mongoose. So I don't know. If I come across one, maybe. And the HAL 5.5 is a deal and a half. Thank you for sharing that. What's the word on XR Pro merch? I haven't heard anything. I asked for permission. So I need to follow up on that, David Montreal. I appreciate you asking. I thought my GoPro just turned on. It kind of seemed like a flash there. So we have Florida Bikes and Gear has a switchback comp 29er. Interesting. Thanks for sharing that. More talks about the digital camera, so who knows? Now we're going from gas and electric cars back into bikes and topics of this this live stream. So I appreciate that. And Carlos Rios misses my Cannondale's talking about the Cannondale Trigger 3. I do too, but if it would have been a better size for me, kind of a whim purchase, it would have been better size for me. I would have probably maybe held on to that, but I don't know. Riding, I've talked about it before. Riding a $4,000 bike is a lot different than riding a $1,000 or under bike. At least if I crash it, I don't feel so bad, and I feel really bad on a $4,000 bike. That's kind of outside of my comfort zone price wise for a bike. And as many people mentioned, you can buy a car for that. So there's that. But someone said they bought an XR Pro because of video. Well, that's awesome, Hector. I'm glad that you got one. Man, see, I have the Quebec story. No, you never have missed the Quebec story. If you guys want the Quebec story, let me know, and I'll tell that. I'll tell that. Might be, I've talked about it for so long, and he's been looking forward to it for so long. It might be anticlimactic because look, it just shut up and open the box. Oh, shut them. Yeah. So talking about this electric, I probably could just open this and at least show, because one of the cool things about electric with that, because it'll be covered in foam, so that would probably be good enough. Because yeah, well, the beauty is that this bike comes already assembled. If I assume, I know this one did. It came, or and the other one, the one that's behind me there, it came already assembled. Just put the seat post in, fold the handlebars up, and fold it out, and there's the bike. So, I guess comment maybe if you would like to get a glimpse of it. Get a glimpse because it can't officially show the whole bike until next week. But I could probably show how it comes out of the box. So maybe comment if you want to see that. Can you do a hub adjustment video for big box wheels? Hub adjustment. Well, have you have any problems with your hubs being loose? I haven't really encountered that on any of my big box bikes, Dominic. So I'd be curious about that. No APG. I have not seen the video of the kid running into the fence on his electric bike. That sounds horrible. I hope that they are okay. I don't like to see people get hurt. I don't like that at all. I watch America's Funniest Videos. Some of those people have to get hurt. That's me and Dad constantly like, oh, that had to have hurt them. That's not funny. So yeah, Kenny Graves wants to see that open. Story time. I'll just do a quick. No, I think I'll do both. But I'll do a quick tell about story time. What he's asking about is years ago, I think it was 2014. Hmm. You are from Montreal, right, David? So when was the election? Was that in 14 or was that in 13? I can't remember. I was on a study abroad program in Quebec. We say it in in the United States. So I was in Quebec City or Quebec City for a study abroad program for college, and it was a short little program, just basically a lot of fun that I got college credit for. And I have always had this weird fascination with separatist parties. I it's not that I want to join any separatist party or be part of any of that. I've always been fascinated about looking at all over the world. Anytime there's a separatist movement, I'll read the articles and things like that on it. So by fascination, I just mean I'm curious. So I get to Quebec City the first night that I'm there, or first day that I'm there. I'm walking around and I start noticing that there's all these campaign posters, and the way they do campaign posters, they're really cool. It's a lot cooler than how we do them in my area. There are all these banner looking posters that hang up off of it's it's very weird. It's like you're walking into something. It's all these cool posters, and some of them are really really catchy with what they say. So, as a student of foreign languages, as a French language, I was trying to go around and read all these, and I knew that there was a thing called Parti Québécois, and Parti Québécois is this group that wants, well, I don't say that their whole goal, but really it is for Quebec to be its own country. Is, I think, the end game. And I had been reading the posters, and my professor had talked about them a little bit. So I happened to walk by, and I walked around the corner, and I stopped and I looked, and there was Parti Québécois headquarters. So I opened the door, and I'm a very conservative, meaning not conservative politically. I mean conservative as in I don't take risks. I'm a very calculated. Things that I do are usually fairly calculated as far as what outcomes could be. But I just opened the door and I walked in, and in my very broken French, just introduced myself and said that I was really interested in a free Quebec. I went into the whole thing because I had read just a little bit and went into kind of this whole little thing in my broken French. And the next thing I knew, I was getting introduced to people. I got introduced to the woman that became the opposition leader in the parliament up there, and they were like, "Hey, we're about to go campaigning. Do you want to go campaigning with us?" I thought, well, yeah, absolutely. I want to go campaigning with you, which I thought meant ride around and try to learn some French. But it ended up with me knocking on people's doors and trying to convince them that they should vote for Parti Québécois in an election. And I ended up spending the entire day. I think I may have gotten them a couple of votes. I'm not sure. But I got my picture taken. I'll see at some point, maybe in another live stream. I'll upload or show some of the pictures because it didn't come prepared tonight. But I have pictures where I'm posing with what would eventually be the opposition leader in parliament, and one guy that I thought was going to end up being like super big into politics, but he ended up not. So, yeah, in a roundabout way, I kind of joined the Separatist Party in another country on a very short stint of a study abroad program. And when I went to France a year after that, I almost, there's a thing there called Front National. And I almost went into the only reason I did it is because my professor at that point, no, don't go in there. Don't go in there. But I almost did the same thing and then just walk in out of curiosity. Hey, how are you? And wouldn't it have been funny if I would have ended up doing something there with some other separatist party? They're not really separatist. Front National, they're just, I don't know. I think if they were in America, they would probably be very far right, like a very, very far right party. But yeah, interesting. So there you go, David Montreal. I hope that wasn't too boring for you, but I did. Let's see. He spent the afternoon being treasonous in Canada. It was a good day. That's basically because when I came back, I was telling my professor, "You're not going to believe this," and I had all the little flyers and stuff that I had a few of those, and I was like, "You're not going to believe this." But not only did I get to speak, with these people and walk and all day, like all in broken French, but I actually helped campaign, and I was showing him the thing. He was like, "Wait a minute, you campaigned?" And he always knew that I was really, because political science is what should have been. Well, it was my minor, but political science is what should have been my major all along. But so he knew that I was really fascinated with political cultures in other countries and things like that. He's like, yeah, I kind of figured that if you go up there, that you would be the one student that would end up joining. He coined the thing. You joined a separatist party. That you went to another country and joined a separatist party. And I also tried to convert him later into being in a cult, just to see if I could do it. Didn't work out. But I figured if I could pull that off, that I could do anything. So, but I wasn't really gonna do it. But I kept hiding flyers and stuff on his lectern and then all the paperwork and stuff. He used to laugh, but then sacre bleu, But then he quit laughing. He just didn't even acknowledge it. But please be careful at airports of people with flowers. Yes. Yep. That's yeah. Yeah, I know exactly. Hey, I see somebody talking about Wasco. Is our friend Mr. Wasco here? James Wasco. Did I miss something you had said? See, something got retracted there. But well, hello to you. Appreciate you being here. And Gina, hello. Hello to you. I appreciate. I hope you're watching. So Vitus Nucleus review, and you're welcome, David Montreal. So that was the story. So yeah, kind of an odd night tonight, channel wise. But let's do this. Let's do this. I've talked about the things I liked about the Lectric. Do you guys want to know about the tools that I or not recommend, but that I think are among the important ones if you're going to start upgrading a bike? If you want to hear about that, or do we want to see how this comes out of the box? If it comes out like the original, where it will come out in one piece, and well, technically two piece, put the seat post in there. I'm curious how they package this in this new box. So comment with which one you want to see, and I will look at that. Forbidden for Americans to represent foreign political parties. It is illegal for Americans to donate to foreign political parties. Freedom of speech entitles anyone to any opinion that they want. So, but I appreciate you commenting. So how long till you start upgrading your 2021 Axiom? That is very, very soon to happen. As a matter of fact, I was about to, if I didn't have so much stuff in here, I was gonna put the frame in here and start stripping it down earlier today, but I got busy shoveling all that ground up tree stump, all the wood fibers there. So bring on the tools, bike unboxing. There's two there, tools, because why not? Tools. So, okay, so let's talk about the tools really quick. And then I'll get to the bike unboxing. And then we're an hour in. I won't go too long tonight. Don't know. Ugh, that might. Don't land on the lens. Thank you. It did not. So let me just show you a couple of the things I got in my toolbox here. My getting heavy. My trusty Craftsman toolbox, which I need a bigger toolbox. But first and foremost, you're gonna need some basic stuff. Ooh, I'll drop my new tool. Daniel Baruso Perez. You look a whole lot more healthy. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Was I looking unhealthy? I hope not. Maybe he's talking about because I had the COVID shot the last time I just recovered and I was a little down. This is embarrassing. I weighed myself today. I've gained 4 pounds because I think I've been riding e-bikes so much. I've been riding, and it's not even hot yet. That's when I like to ride e-bikes, is when it gets hot and muggy. But I've been riding. I've got two coming up that are, one's an adventure bike and one is very much something that looks like it wants to be on a trail. So number one thing, or well, number one and two for tools that I would suggest if someone is considering upgrading. I didn't even bring the right tool. I've moved them somewhere. Well, so I'll just have to tell you, a hex wrench set for adjusting, oh, this is the other one, but a hex wrench set for tightening the handlebar stem bolts and the headset bolt, well, and a lot of things, brakes, things like that. So first a hex wrench set, and then screwdrivers. I'm not going to talk about basic tools, but a pedal wrench, because if you're going to upgrade a bike, it's going to include pedals, right? A pedal upgrade, because the factory pedals are, and you can use a 15 millimeter, I think it is, a 15 millimeter, but if you get like a race face chesters, you'll run out of room. You'll run out of room a lot of times tightening down. So that's why you need something thin like this. So, and I will after this live stream, I will go. What is it? Carlos Barraza? Did I miss something here? Did I miss? Oh, there it is. Well, I appreciate it, Carlos Barraza. Another super chat there. Thank you so much. If you meant to type a message and it didn't let you, just type it down in the comments and DIY Solar Energy will let me know because I know how that works. Ooh, I saw something about Lectric XP support. What's that? I asked Lectric XP support about tools and specs. Oh, it was a modified, but all they had was a modified spec sheet. Well, you'll see in just a second. It doesn't take much to get the Lectric XP together. But as far as upgrading a bike, you need hex wrenches, you need a pedal wrench, and if you're lucky, maybe a 15mm wrench. But there's a few things that I think you're really going to need. Number one is a bottom bracket removal tool, because bottom brackets, square taper bottom brackets, have these special like splines to get the bottom bracket off, and you're going to need that. And again, I will you go to my website and you click shop and you go down to bike parts. As soon as this video is over, I will go in and I will add or make sure that all of these items are in there so you can take a look there. And fair note, that's an affiliate link through my Amazon shop, so I do get a commission. But if you don't have to buy, you can just look or whatever. But this is a cassette removal tool. And not only are you going to need that if you're upgrading big box bikes, you're going to need this if you decide to upgrade to a cassette, put the cassette on, take it off, but you're also going to need a freewheel removal tool to get the freewheel off if you have a big box bike, because unless it's an Axum or a Dolomite ALX, if it's a Foundry, a TAF, an aluminum comp, anything like that, an Ascension, a Schwinn Ascension, you're going to need a freewheel removal tool. You're going to get the freewheel off. Now, I've seen people do it without it, but it usually destroys the freewheel. I don't like to destroy things. Also, basic bike tool here, but a chain breaker. A chain breaker to get the chain off if you are going to start upgrading derailleurs or chain rings, anything like that. You're probably going to run into a case, well, not with chain rings, but you'll run into a case where you need a chain breaker. If you are going to install a new fork, you will either need to cut down that fork or have it cut down. New forks, thought I had one. New forks, the steerer tube is super long. So usually you're going to need to cut them down. Every fork I've ever bought, I had to cut down, and because they're quite long from the factory. So if you do that on your own, you will not only need the tool for cutting down the fork, which looks like this. This clips in a vise, so I guess you need a vise. You wouldn't have to have, I mean, you can do it without it, but it would be very awkward. And the steerer tube clips in this. I'm holding this up because it's got magnesium shavings all over it. But this, or magnesium, I think is one of the alloys that they use. But this tool clamps down on that steer tube, and a hacksaw blade goes right in there, and it gives a nice clean straight cut. Works really well. This is there are some expensive ones, but this is Bike Hand brand. I've had really good luck with this Bike Hand brand. Really good luck with their stuff. I'm gonna buy more of it. And I think this is a Bike Hand. Yeah, even this is a Bike Hand, and also with the fork, there is the star nut. And if you don't know what that is, if you have ever taken the top cap off of the stem, where the stem, the handlebars, and then the thing that the handlebars are bolted to is the stem, and there's a top cap on it. If you've ever taken that top cap on it, the thing that screw threads into is called a star nut. And yeah, this is the star nut. So you've probably seen that from the top. That's a star nut, and it sits down in that steerer tube, but as you can see, it's kind of a unique little thing. It's spring tensioned, these little tabs. And what happens is you have to drive it down in there, and you have to have a tool for that. Well, I guess you don't have to have. you could use a screw and tap it down in there, but you want it in straight. If you do not get that in straight, you can create problems. This tool not only sets it down in there, but it sets it at the right depth, because there is a specific depth that this needs to be set at. If it's set too low or too high, you can run into problems. If it's set crooked, you can run into problems. So well worth it to buy a little. I think these are 15 bucks or something like that. They're not much, and makes it oh so easy. I mean, oh so easy. Put it in there and then take a hammer and whack on it a few times, or mallet, whack on it a few times, and it sets the star nut. Works great. I'm a big fan of that tool. I also recommend, if you don't have a torque wrench, you can buy these little things for important stuff like the stem where the handlebars bolt to it. And this is 6 Newton meter. And a lot of times the stem where it bolts on the steer is 8 Newton meter. So if I'm in a pinch and I don't have any other tools around me, I've used this before, or one like it. I have a couple of them. This is the one, the Ritchie. This one is 5. But I've used it before. I've had it in my bag or whatever. And I crank it and then just a little more to know that I'm pretty close to 8. But that gets me to something I just bought. I have used, well, for years, I'm kind of a spec guy off on the side, and you've heard me. Oh my goodness, you've heard me talk about. That's embarrassing. You've heard me talk about torque specs, and a lot of times I say Guten Titan. Guten Titan. That's what the local bike shop says all the time. You get that, just Guten Titan. But I'm a spec guy at heart, and I like to follow specs on things like brakes and stuff like that. But I have a large torque wrench, or well, not large, but too big for doing small adjustments. And the problem with that is if you use a large torque wrench, one that goes up to 140 foot-pounds, and you're trying to do stuff that's 10 and 12 foot-pounds, that's not good. It tends to be less accurate when you're on the low end of its scale, especially if it's like 10 foot-pounds to 100 foot-pounds, and you're trying to do 12. That's not where I would go with that. So I purchased this the other day. Haven't even opened it yet. This is a little bike torque wrench set, and not only will it do the low torque values that I need on bike stuff like brake calipers and stem bolts and things like that, but it also comes with hex and Torx bits in this little kit, and I think this was $59. And this one had decent reviews, but you know how that goes. The reviews, sometimes that's loaded. But I'm going to open this and I'll let you know how this works out, because I'm going to be using it very, very soon for some of the stuff that you're going to see on Project XR 2021. I also recommend, where are they? If you are going to be replacing headset cups on the Boundary, the aluminum comp, the Taft, the Axum, you know, that's a tapered head tube, but the cups that come in it it's not set up for a tapered steerer. So you knock those out and you put a ZS5640 lower cup in there, but you're going to need a tool. Well, I've seen people do this, do it without specialty tools, but I use specialty tools to get those headset cups out because I don't want to do damage to that inside of that steerer tube. And these are cheap. These are really cheap, 10 or 12 bucks. And they come, just an FYI, you can even see over time it kind of goes back in. This isn't spread out far enough. So I end up spreading out these arms a little bit before I use it, because what happens is it slides up in that head tube and it pops when it goes in there and opens up, and then you tap to knock it out. But this isn't very far spread, so I have to spread it out. So just FYI, if you buy one, odds are when they're shipped, they're all squeezed into a box and you're going to have to open them up. So just a few tools there aside from the obvious that you need: screwdrivers, a mallet, a hammer maybe, but you definitely a mallet, preferably a rubber mallet or something non-marring, the pedal wrenches, things like that. If you are taking off your bottom bracket, yeah, here it is. If you're taking off the bottom bracket, the bottom bracket removal tool, before you get to that, you have to get the crank arms off. And there are crank arm removal tools galore. I have two different types. I think I have my main one down in here. Well, yeah, here it is. This was part of a kit from Omers, another good brand that is affordable. As a matter of fact, you know, bike shops love Park Tool, and Park Tool makes good stuff. They make really good stuff. I like Park Tool, but Park Tool can get expensive. Omers, how I've always heard it said, but Omers, this kit came with a chain whip. This is a square taper crank arm remover, or square taper. A crank arm extractor, I think is what they call it, but it's made for square taper crank arms. Now, we'll say this little part, the little wrenchy part, not very strong, so I take this apart and I use a crescent wrench to open it with. But recently, or well, I think it was a couple of Christmases ago, my father got me this, and it's kind of an all-in-one little deal. And this works a lot better, but it's not a very long handle, and those crank arms can be on really tight. So you can see it's beat up where I whack on it with the mallet to get it broken loose, but this has held up better than I would have thought so far. But the crank arm extractor, this chain whip, goes in concert with, and it came with this, I think this was in the kit, goes in concert with this free or cassette removal tool, because you have to use the chain and the wheel to kind of lock everything in place to be able to break this loose. So there's just a few items. I mean, I have a lot of stuff, and I said hex wrench set, and here's one. Here, came from a Vinton, I think. The colored hex wrench set. But I recommend getting the loose hex wrenches if you're going to start really working on stuff, because these sets get a little annoying sometimes, trying to work around things and manipulate with the whole thing. And then, of course, you know, base maintenance stuff. I won't go into that because that was all about upgrade, or this because it's all about upgrading, but tire levers and things like that. So there you go. I will put all links to all that stuff, or products, in my Amazon store if you want to take a peek at any of this stuff. But I hope that that gave you at least some idea about, oh, where's my mouse go? There it is. I hope that that gave you some idea as far as the tools that you may need if you're thinking about upgrading a bike and wanting to do it on your own, because it does get expensive when if you don't do it yourself. It does get expensive. Well, upgrading in general is expensive, which is why I do it over time on every bike that I've ever upgraded. But early into this channel, I let the bike shop do the vast majority of my upgrades. I'm thinking back. I can't remember any specific bikes. Probably the Project XR. Project XR, I know I had the bike shop put on the SRAM NX that's on that. I had them cut down the fork. They did a lot of the work on that. And, you know, bike shops, I mean, they get paid for what they do. And there's nothing wrong with that. They do a good job, but that gets expensive really quick. So if you decide that you want to get your own tools to start saving some money, then you have to factor in how much you're going to be spending versus how often you're going to use the tools. Because buying a bunch of tools to use them one time might be more expensive than having the bike shop do it if you're only going to do it one time. But if you plan on being active in cycling and riding a lot, especially if you're upgrading a bike or making an upgraded mountain bike, then tools may be something you want to factor in, because you'll be working on a bike. The more you ride a bike, the more you got to work on it. They do wear out and things do break. especially if you ride them on mountain bike trails. Things do break sometimes, body parts. I've messed up shoulders and knees and all kinds of stuff on mountain bike trails. So let me just look here at some of the chat that's going on. I see that mention complete park tool kits and bike shops. And again, I'll go through and I'll read everybody's. Looks like this is a lot of our regulars. So we know, you guys know that I go back and I look at all this. To go bigger brake rotors, you need to get spacers. Yep, that is absolutely true. Even from 160 to 180, and then if you ever go up to 203, that's a whole different beast. But hey, I saw a regular in here, a shiny, I think it was. Yeah, Boeing 747. How are you doing? Haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, so welcome back. Park Tool grease gun, and I was disappointed. Really, $22, it's not worth it. Now, we'll say I like Park Tool, but I have seen a few Park Tool tools that I thought, I think this might be better or that might be better. And I've even heard the local bike shop I mentioned, Omer's, they like Park Tool, but I haven't been in there in a year because of COVID, inside anyway. But before COVID, I was starting to see a lot of this orange, and I asked them one day. I said, "You guys converting over to Omers?" And they said, "Well, we buy what we come across that's good," which I took as an indirect way of saying when we find something cheaper that works as well, we take it. So I thought that was a good testament for that Omer stuff. All right, so let's do this. About so many how-to videos. Yep, they do. There are a lot of how-to videos. Also, some that have, it's like anything else. You get into the mechanical thing, and there's a lot of things I look at. And why would you do it that way? Why would you do it that way? So let's do this. Just have a little bit of fun because I'm not going to go too long tonight. I'll get this wrapped up. We're already going an hour and 30. So let me get this out of the way. I'm gonna see this Lectric XP back here. I'm gonna see how easy this is to assemble versus what I expect, and get my first peeks. And I'm not gonna show. It won't be too revealing because I don't want to spoil Lectric's big reveal thing. But I will be reviewing this next week. I'll publish a video of it next week. But you guys, the live stream crew here at KevCentral, are kind of going to get a little bit of a sneak peek. So that's kind of good or big or whatever you want to say. Get some stuff moved out of the way here and see. We can move my chair right in the way. See if we can get into this thing. Are you guys excited about getting a little quick snippet look at something before it technically goes public? So comment with that. Oh, get Copernicus out of the way here. Don't fall. And that, put that there. Don't want to damage. Worked hard for that. Don't want to damage that. All right. I don't know how well you can hear me because I'm pretty far back. But what I do when I open these boxes is I pull the top up and give a quick look. And yes, I see. Whoa. 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 Okay. Yeah, this is already looking pretty cool. I'm impressed. Yeah, I already see two changes. I already see two changes that are pretty cool. I mean, big time cool. And you can hear me, so that is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Man, they. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. And whenever I open these folding e-bike boxes, I cut the boxes up the side and I let the lid fall down and then I pull it out. It's a lot easier to put together. A lot easier to put together. And I need my snippers, which I think I put in my toolbox. Need these because there are a lot of zip ties involved in cutting a bike out. Let's see if I can do this without. Let me get a new blade here. All right. Make sure that there's nothing in the way. Okay, here we go. There is the first look. There's the, oh, look at that. Fancy. The Lectric logo. Free ride safety. Okay. Don't look too close. Don't look too close. We're just gonna take, oh, and the seat, this actually came in the bike. So do this. It's a little quicker sneak peek. Then I'll go back to the main camera here. But this is how easy it is on these electric or these folding e-bikes, especially the electric. They do a good job of this. Wow. I can see that big chain ring down there, but check this out. I pull the bike out. The seat post is already on the bike. So all I need to do is find out where it's zip tied. Yeah. Okay, so there's no zip ties holding it together. There's just zip ties over all the padding. So I can literally open this thing up. There's the handlebars. So I can literally open this up. So I can get my, oh, I do have to undo that zip tie. So let me, oh, there's it. These industrial size zip ties. And I'm doing this awkwardly because I'm trying to keep as much of this padding on as possible because I don't want to spoil their reveal. There we go. There's the handlebars. There's the stem. So what is this? 4 zip ties. open this up. And I'm so curious about this computer. A quick preview on a new model. Oh, that's what it's coming out. Yeah, this is, oh, whoa. Wow. This is an entirely, yeah, okay. Minimum insertion point. And go. Oh. Yeah, I can already tell this is more than just a name change. Oh. There is a lot to this. Yeah, there's a lot to this. But as you can see, I think that was 6 zip ties. I put the handlebar, or I folded up the stem, put the handlebar down in the steer tube, and I call it the beanstalk. I folded up the beanstalk, I put the handlebar down in the steer tube. The saddle, the seat post was already in here. I just turned that around, and I had to fold it out. It's done. The bike is fully assembled, ready to go. I mean, the pedals are already here. They just clip out. So that is it. Oh my gosh. I just saw something else that's new. So I'm gonna wheel this off. That's some of the padding and stuff catching there. So I'm gonna wheel this over to here. Oh, about to knock over a light. Oh my gosh. I'm absolutely thrilled with that. That is pretty nice. Is it longer? Yeah. Okay, you can tell I'm kind of impressed. So I'll just put this right here. Oh. And look how they did their charger. Got like a wall outlet thing on it. Kind of funny because they have that Van Moof TV on the box thing. And it's an old school TV, so that's kind of funny. But there you go. See what some of these comments have said about this. Are you, Chessard, are you talking about the XP or someone's literal baby? Curious. I'm just going to look through here. That's funny. So, like, it was a new bike. So that, pretty impressive. Wonder what's in that. Oh, thought that was a little small box. It's just foam. So there you go. There's kind of a quick sneak peek at the new Lectric XP. I'm literally looking at it as I'm talking, and I keep seeing things. Yeah, this is kind of cool. Kind of cool. A little bit of a different look. Even though it's still covered in foam, I'm curious what the graphics are going to look like. It's, yeah, that's nice. Yeah, the DIY Solar Energy, he has 3 e-bikes. And he has been enamored with this Lectric XP. He has wanted this Lectric XP since about 5 minutes after I showed it to him the first time. He is super thrilled, and of all the, wouldn't you say, of all the, you've ridden it, do you like the ride of it better than any of the other e-bikes that you've ridden?
I will definitely say, yeah, more giddy up and go.
Yeah, it's got the torque. He's talking about the torque.
It's definitely got more tilt. I just like the ride of it so much more, rather it's more comfortable ride.
Yeah, I don't know how well you can hear him, but he's talking about the ride of it, that it just feels comfortable to ride. And this one, because of some of the things I've just seen, I think is going to be even more comfortable. So we'll see about that. But Vids, fam. Hey, Jay Medina, how are you? Stoked to see the Lectric XP 2.0. Are you one of the people that has already seen it? Because so many people had messaged, well, I'll say so many people, it's actually only about a handful, but a few people messaged me about it. Ride it with the foam padding on. That is funny. Is that Chassard? Chassard? That would be pretty funny. Just keep it like that and ride it around with all the foam on it. Never take it off. That'd be pretty funny. And I see people are helping people with tips. That is very nice. What's the weight of your aluminum comp V2.2? David, I think that was 29, 28-ish pounds, I think. I haven't weighed it in a while, and it's been a while since I did, but that's what it that's what sounds right in my head. It's under 30, and it was a 37-pound or 38-pound bike from out of the box. So that was pretty good change. I was pretty happy with it. Sandriel, does it sit on the chain ring when folded up? No, it does not. They actually have, this is this is the step through model, and it is sitting on, there's a little stand down there. They sit on the stand when they're folded up. It's a little metal stand, and well, I don't give away anything, but it's a little metal, still got this blade. It's a little metal stand that they sit on. Now, I have seen people complain that it's painted metal, and you're putting metal on concrete and things like that. So there is that, but that they sit on a little stand. Now, my prototype does not have a stand. It actually sits on its chain ring when it's folded, but I say I rarely fold it. I've had it probably a week folded in the corner over there, but now it's here. But it's, yeah, all the production bikes have stands, so you can fold them up, set them without having to worry about sitting them on the chain ring. Now, the downside to that, if and why I don't consider these anything I would ride on any kind of off-road terrain that gets very up and downy or obstacle-y, is because that hangs down a bit. So it's mounted to the bottom bracket and it sticks down a bit. So you can just imagine you're losing bottom bracket clearance a little bit. Now, these bikes do sit up pretty good bit, so that helps, but it's something to think about. So kind of a pro and a con, but it's just with the folding design, you have to have a stand of some kind. It's very close to 37 pounds. Talking about the aluminum comp, I take it. I could weigh. Nope, don't have the battery for it. That ships separately for me. So I can't weigh. I was going to say we could sneak a weight on this XP, but I can't weigh it accurately because I don't have a battery. And you saw the stand. Well, that's good. It's awesome that you see the stand. Yeah, and thank you, Harry Grimley. He always reminds people of this. Smash that thumbs up. That helps my channel. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, all that stuff. But other than this, that was pretty much all I had tonight. I will throw in a shameless plug for do have the shirts. So I have merch. If you want to head over to KevCentral.store, and this is my Kev reviews, but I have all these designs, and I do have this one other design. This thing, that was a new design. I designed it last week. It's a brake rotor with the KevCentral logo in the middle, and then it's got this black KevCentral circle logo in the upper back. So there's that. I did get that on there, so check that out. And of course, I have the eBay store with all these stickers, and I even have, do I have one in here? Yeah, I have this. A lot of people like this. I liked it. This KevCentral with the mountain bike riding off the C part of the KevCentral. This is a holographic. I just ordered these in a standard sticker. So it'll be a standard sticker design, still die cut, but it'll be a white background instead of a, I thought I had a regular, but I don't. It'll be more like this with the white background, but it'll have the bike on. I got some of those, so they'll be coming soon as well. So thanks to everyone for watching this live stream. Again, I'll go back through and look at all these comments. I hope you liked kind of the sneak peek at the Lectric XP 2.0. I can't wait to give that thing a go. It's already, I always worry when companies start making any kind of changes after some success, because a lot of times that means they're going to start making shortcuts. I can already tell that this is a step forward, which was amazing because I already liked what was there. So yeah, pretty nice just looking at it already. I'm thrilled. I hope that comes across because I'm actually thrilled about this. Can't wait to ride it. But thanks to everyone for being here. Wow, already an hour and 50 minutes roughly. Thanks to everyone for being here. Be sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Give this a thumbs up before you leave. And be sure to check out that Amazon. Go to my website, click on shop and then bike parts, and I will put links as soon as I get finished with this video. Give me about 30 minutes. And I'll put links to all these little items that I buy them on Amazon. That's where I buy them on most of my bike parts. Like this. That's where I bought this. So can't wait to try that out. So be sure you check all that out. Thanks again for watching KevCentral, being part of the channel, and have a good night. Now I can go to my end screen. Got that, and I cut off the mic.